What's going on, everybody? Corey Coleman here, and welcome once again to a double toasted interview. You know, I love these things. And the interviews I really love the most, not all of them are great. Don't get me wrong. It's just from a level that I can really relate, is when I talk to artists, really great artists, particularly animators. And I've been lucky to get quite a few animators over recently. And today I am very fortunate to be talking to Vivienne Medrano. But Vivienne, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. We were chatting a little bit before. I really want to thank her for being here. I think one of her wisdom teeth are hurting, and she went to, I heard off screen, she went to go gargle and everything.
Yeah, it decided to move a little further into my mouth. So it's hurting really bad right now, but it's fine. It happens every so often. So,
well, you know what?
You need to get it out.
Man, so does it hurt to talk then?
Not a whole lot. It's if I fully close my jaw, like on the inside, this side like just flares up, hurting just really bad. So sleeping and stuff has been like a nightmare. Oh, but I think I'm finally gonna get it pulled. So far, I literally got the bottom two out one at a time.
Yeah.
So I've dreaded getting them all out. Like the dentist keeps waiting until they're literally in my mouth to be like, yeah, let's get it out. Okay. And I'm like, didn't they just all take it out at the first time?
I feel guilty as hell right now. You know, I feel really bad making you talk while your teeth are hurting. But you know what? Hopefully I'll ask you some really cool questions and you'll be more than happy to answer. And they'll be such great answers you won't even recognize the pain.
Yeah.
You know, that'll be a testament to, let's see how good of an interviewer I am. If I can make you forget the pain for just a little while, then I'm doing my job okay.
Definitely.
All right, we'll see how that goes then. And, you know, I always like to start out by saying congratulations to people such as yourself, because you're here for a reason, and it usually is because you are very successful at what you're doing. And right now, you've racked up a fan base to have millions upon millions of views on YouTube. I remember there was one day where people were just hitting me up about one of your videos, the one that's really getting a lot of attention today. And like I said, I'm going to show some clips if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
She's like, hell yeah, show my stuff to everybody. What are you talking about?
I just expected it.
Yeah. You crazy?
Either. Oh my God, no.
That's what I'm making for, to show the world. You fucking crazy.
I can't. Nothing I've seen before.
See, look at the pain is getting to her already. Look at that.
I know. I'm like, oh no, I'm already not there.
Well, the thing that people are really into today is Hell of a Boss. I remember, you know, we're talking about YouTube. We're talking about competing with politicians and celebrities around the world. This is something that when it came out, it was #1 in trending that day.
That was cool. That was cool for all of us because it was like a day. It was like a whole day. And we were like, oh my gosh, it's #1. And then like it stayed #1. And we were like, it's still #1. And then like I went and took a nap and then I woke up and it was still #1. And I was like, is this right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
like,
man.
We had a few times where we checked, like, because we didn't really believe it.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
I looked to see, like, is it #1 in animation? Is it #1 in cute demon stories? And it was like, no, it's #1 all on YouTube. I want to show people everywhere. What this is.
So cool.
Hell of a Boss. This is the thing that was trending on #1 for a whole day, and this is a project. Her animated pilot about, I guess, the corporate structure of hell.
Hi there, I'm Blitz. The O is silent, and I'm the founder of IMP. Are you a piece of shit who got yourself sent to hell, or are you an innocent soul who got fucked over by someone else?
After lovingly killing my wife for fucking a delivery man, you can imagine my surprise when I wound up here after the state of Ohio killed me. I really wish I could stick it to that yappy jogger who saw me hiding the body.
Well, luckily for you, thanks to our company's special access to the living world, We can help you take care of your unfinished business by taking out anyone who screwed you over when you were alive.
Now, Vivienne asked me, she said, is there cursing allowed in this at all when I come in? Does that answer your question?
Yeah. There you go. Most of what I make has cursing, so I assume it's okay, but you never know.
No, you never know. I got to say that looking at this, and here's where I get to the questions. Your design is amazing. But what I'm really impressed with is the animation. And, I was so curious when I saw this because this is very funny. It's well written. But what's the process behind the whole thing, especially in the area of animation? How many people are you working with, and how long does it take you to get that done, that pilot?
So Hell of a Boss is a magical story because I was already working on a much bigger pilot for a couple years called Hazbin Hotel. That's kind of the big one, while working on that project, I was developing it as a series, and I came up with all these characters and stuff, and the characters in Hell of a Boss were characters originally created for that world, and I realized that there wasn't really a place for them. Their story felt very separate from the story that I was trying to tell and has been. It's like about imps, which like are not the same as a lot of the Hazbin characters and how they came about. Mm-hmm. So it felt more natural to make it its own series. So once that was the case, I developed the core little cast of characters. It's a much smaller main cast, and I am a huge fan of Brandon Rodgers, and he's a YouTube comedian. I kind of serendipitously had been reached out to by his network, like YouTube MCN network, and I didn't connect with them, but I did kind of go, hey, like, do you have his information, like his rep, because I have this thing that I think might be interesting to him, at least a voice, and so I sent over the materials, and his rep responded, and he responded, and once he was on board, it was incredibly fast. Like I've never met another creator who's worked faster than me. Like, not even to say that I work I just typically work fast. Like I once something is rolling, I like start on the design, start on the work, I start on everything. But animation takes a lot of time, so obviously it's a much longer process. But working with Brandon has been absolutely amazing. He's a wonderful creator, great talent. Definitely the humor it was amped up a lot from him.
Yeah.
He just has a sense of writing and humor and dialogue that's just so unique. And so we wrote the script pretty fast. Like it was a really fast process. We had a few meetings where we got together and talked about what the pilot could be, what these characters were. I had an idea for them, but like some of the ideas changed based off talking to him, and like the pilot came together very fast, like the script. And then the actual pilot itself also came together incredibly fast. I think we were only in production of it for like 4 months, maybe 5 technically, but that's also because Hazbin was going on. So I had a whole different team of animators kind of perfect timing, like just as I was needing a whole new team, because I didn't want to take the Hazbin team and like filter them into something else. A whole different team applied to me who had experience, and a lot of them were based in Latin America. And it was really cool because I was familiar with their work. I was already fans of a few of them, and they all had experience working together at a studio over there. And so their pipeline was incredibly fast. They were throwing things back to me right away, and I was so like, whoa, this is oh my gosh, like we're getting things done really, like I just saw the timeline filling up with animation, and I was just like, wow, this is almost done. So it was almost done like when Hazbin was almost done. Like it was really fast.
How many animators did you have?
That kind of opened the door for me on how many kind of on a different time frame of like how we could get these out. Because it was a long cartoon. It was 10 minutes. And as soon as that door opened, I've been trying to learn, and we're challenging ourselves as a team on the projects we're making now. And the goal is to make a season of Hell of a Boss independently. So we actually have 7 episodes right now that are fully written, and 4 of them are boarded. So there's more coming. I can say that. I guess that's a reveal that I've been meaning to have on my channel as well. But like, we are working on more, and the process is going pretty fast. But right now the team is roughly, it fluctuates because a lot of people are part-time. So some people will come in, do a few shots and then leave, or work on another project and then come back later when they need more work or if they have more time. But my core team, I have kind of like 10 animators that are my go-to, and I'm trying to keep it around there. And then like here and there, a few side animators to do a few shots. But I adore my core team. I think I've found an amazing group of people through working on both projects. And, I'm expanding into working with designers and working with, the background team is also phenomenal. Like, I'm just looking at the clip and I'm like remembering who all did what. And it's just, I think we're really like finding ourselves as like this indie studio. Like the team is more used to my style now and the timing and since we're able to write these scripts, like the most exciting thing for me about Hell of a Boss, these next couple episodes that me and Brandon wrote, are that now that we got the pilot out of the way, we can really get into the characters. So over these 7 episodes, there is like development, there is like an arc, but it's also very freeing because each episode can be its own kind of adventure, and genre almost, because the characters can travel around Earth like anywhere they want. So
Nice. How many people did you say you have in your team again? Like your core team?
Core team, about 10 animators. Right now, the background team is huge because we're trying to battle the quarantine kind of delay of animation, because we haven't been able to record the voices yet. We're doing like scratch tracks for the audio, and we're doing the background. So we're trying to do like all the backgrounds for the first 2 episodes kind of simultaneously with an A and a B team. So each team of background artists is also about 10 people. So it's a lot of background folks for this time because there's a lot of backgrounds to do, and it's probably the most time consuming part besides animation. So we're doing that. And then I do main compositing, and then another friend of mine is like my core compositor alongside me. Who else do we got? We got so many people. There's like 5 or 6 character designers this time around doing various character designs when I'm not doing them. And cleanup artists, we have a ton too. So I think there's maybe like 15 or so cleanup artists. I'm kind of guesstimating. I would have to go back into the server and like count everybody, but that's kind of roughly how many people we have right now. So I think in the server we have like a solid like 40, 50 or so people, I think. Nice. Again, I'd have to look to be sure. I'm notoriously bad at numbers, but the core team is pretty big. For Hazbin, it was bigger. So I'm trying to keep it a little bit lower just so that I can really get to know everybody and everyone can really feel like they're going to stay on. So yeah.
No, nice. Very nice. This is great. This is a great interview. And I felt bad because I felt like I interrupted you a little while ago because you took a pause, and I thought like, let me get in and ask a question. But no, believe me, I love when people talk, man. This is fascinating just to sit back and this is what I want to hear. I have a lot of questions, and you just answered about 10 of them right there. So No.
Yeah, I tend to. I'm a talker. It's definitely how I take after my dad. I will keep going, and I'm training myself not to interrupt people like he does, because that's like a big thing he does. He's this very loud Salvadorian man. He's just always like talking, and I'm like I take after him big time.
No, that is
So if
great.
I'm
That
ever
is
going
great.
on, you can totally interrupt me.
No, no,
Go
I will
for
not
it.
interrupt you. In fact, if I tried to interrupt you, and I got ran right the fuck over when I did that. So I was like, "How many animators are no, God, no, 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 please give your answers out there. This is great. You know, I feel like this is not even an interview. Like I'm in a very educational lecture right now, which is the ultimate compliment that I could give.
Yeah.
My other question is so this is an independent production. If I'm wrong, correct me. But I'm gonna get this question out here because you're gonna start talking. I ain't gonna get it in again. So, no, which is again, it's great. No, it's great. It's great. I just want to ask. So this is I'm assuming it's an independent production. So you just talked about how many people you have working on this, and it's a large team of people for an independent production, which is again that's amazing, and congratulations on that.
you.
But how is this budgeted? How is this paid for? How is this funded?
Yeah, good question. So with Hazbin, it started off. I had a small audience, a dedicated audience, and I was doing art and I was doing animation for fun, and I had a Patreon account. So I still do. It's the same Patreon. So the primary source was Patreon. Patreon, I saved up for a couple of years. And then when I graduated, I had some freelance jobs. They weren't paying great, but it was something to squirrel away. And then I had the money that I'd already saved, like from school and from commission work and the gifts you get when you graduate, and just all of my money, everything to my name. And I put everything to my name into Hazbin Hotel when I started Hazbin. So I had an initial budget, but it wasn't a big one. It was enough to pay, the early team. But what was nice about Patreon is it was always a couple thousand coming in every month, and I didn't have to pay rent at the time, so it was a nice like kind of ongoing. I felt like I could still pay everybody something a month, and my rate was lower, but it wasn't. It was like my early freelance rate, so I felt like if I was getting what I always wanted to get, that was kind of how I was like, all right. And if people said no, they said no. Like they were like, this isn't enough. So that was kind of my attitude early on. It's still my attitude now, but now I'm able to pay like more small studio rates actually, which is really exciting. And that is thanks to the sales that we have. So every season or so, like every fall, winter, summer, we try to do a sale, or like every big holiday, we try to do a sale with new merch. And that has been able to properly fund our productions. Like Patreon is an enormous help still, especially since we have more backing there. But it fluctuates, sometimes it goes down, sometimes it goes up, and it's hard to plan. Whereas the sales are a big sum at once. So once we get that, I can go, okay, this is enough for a short of this length, or I can squirrel this away. And I've been budgeting, so we've had a few sales since Hazbin. So all of that has gone into this certain account that I can then plan. All right, so we can make this cartoon, we can make this comic. Obviously, there's a duty that I have to the audience, because we're very transparent with the audience. Like all the money from the sales goes directly into new projects, and all of the Patreon goes directly into new projects. I'm still doing little freelance jobs for like rent and stuff, because I really don't want to take out of any of that. So it depends on the audience. Like if the audience just goes, we're done, then, then we're done. But so far it's been amazing. And we've had a steady stream, and I have steady work for my team all the way up through the first couple episodes, if not all of them. So we always have this ongoing flow of budget. And I've figured out kind of what the budget equals to the rates. And just, I've been really figuring it out. And I've been consulting with like other small studios and kind of how they do it, like what other small studios rates are like, and how like other online freelance based companies like Yada and stuff. I'm friends with the Yada folks, and obviously they've like advanced to doing like real budgeted like Disney shows and doing animation for like theme songs for like Disney shows. So they're obviously much more advanced at this point than we are. But it's cool to be able to manage like kind of what they were starting with and stuff now. Because animation is really expensive to everybody watching this. Like it's not made in a vacuum. Like it's made from passion and it's made from real rates though. Like the way we're going about it, we're a little studio, so I need to be able to pay my team fairly and sustainably to keep making these episodes and keep making these shorts.
Yeah.
So like all the sales money, you know, I will see some people going like, where, you know, this is just a bunch of sales. They're just making money off of it. And I'm like, every single penny goes back into making them. So like, no, it's, it's expensive. It's an expensive art form. So, you know, I'm very thankful to the people who have like supported us over the sales though, because it's like, that's how we're in business.
Just to tell you, the chat is admiring your setup back there. Trey Bear says that that is a cute ass chair that you got that you're sitting on right there.
Thank you. Yeah, I searched pink chair and this came up, and apparently it's a gamer chair, which I don't game, so people see it and they're like, oh, it's a gamer chair, and I'm like, I guess so. It's got a Furby hat.
Just a chair to me. But that is very cool to hear that you are putting your money back into this. Because I gotta tell you, you know, I would only think that you're gaining more than making this series out there, which I'm sure is going to take you far. It looks like you're gaining a great studio, a great business experience and great business sense, so that when your studio gets bigger, you're going to be able to manage that a lot better. But a lot of people don't understand, you know, there's a lot of folks out there, you know, they see that your stuff is trending at #1 on YouTube, and they see that you put this great project out there that rivals, sometimes exceeds some of the animation that we see out there put out by bigger studios, and they're thinking, oh, this girl is rich. She's like a Walt Disney. She's got a, you know, she's gonna have a theme park next year. And a lot of people, and this is great, you know, this is what's great about the internet. A lot of people are really doing these productions with a true independent spirit, you know, taking their money and putting the profits back into what they love, the project. And I think that's really admirable of you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's, I mean, to me, like, the greatest joy I have is being able to share these stories. And the truth is that being able to do them independently is awesome, because we don't answer to anybody. You know, with these Hell of a Boss episodes, me and Brandon were not thinking, oh, you know, what is the studio going to say? Are they going to let us do that? Are they going to let us do this? No, we can do whatever we want. We can make the jokes, you know, as raunchy. We can make the characters as whatever as we want. And so it's very freeing. And I like being able to make more. And I'm a shark. I'm a creative shark. I can't stop moving. If one project kind of hits a halt, I have to do something else. So even like while we were making the Hell of a Boss episodes, we have a different short that's based off my old webcomic that's in the works right now. And we're trying to finish it by the summer. So there's always going to be new content. I also have more ideas that I want to do. I'm never going to abandon one for another, but like you know, when one is at a pause, like right now Hazbin is kind of at a pause because we are exploring it in the more studio world where, you know, it was successful. It garnered an audience and a fan base, but it's a much bigger project like that. Hazbin Hotel is a 22-minute, 22-minute story-based project. So it needs a big budget. Like even to do it independently at the rates we're doing it, it needs like a much bigger budget. It ended up costing like a lot for me over the whole course of the 2 years. So, and it took 2 years to make it. which I don't think making a second episode would take as long because we've learned so much through the making of that. But even if it took us a year, even if it was like just a year per episode to make them as grand as we want, you know, it's a season. I'd want to make a season. I wouldn't want to just make episode 2. And I've been open about this. I want to explore it in the world of traditional because there are people interested in it. It's not like people aren't interested in it. Right now, it's more a matter of me getting the deal that I want because I love the show so much and it's like my child. So it's a little bit more of like a game of what is a studio, what is a buyer like willing to allow me to keep, and what is going to be the deal breaker at the end of the day. But that process is happening right now. So while we're exploring that, Helva is kind of this cut from the same cloth. And so to avoid them being in competition with each other, like a studio going, well, we'll take this hell show and not the other one. You know what I mean? We'll make it independently because it's a lot easier to do it. We can, for the same amount of budget, we can tell double the story of Hazbin, and it's less of a binge show. Like it doesn't have to be episode. Like we can kind of release them more widely, and it won't feel as jarring. So it just makes sense to be the one that we're going to continue independently for now. It's also a shorter story. It's a shorter narrative that I have in mind. So when we do eventually pitch it, I feel like we could even try to get a whole season out before we pitch it. You know, it feels more realistic than Hazbin. Hazbin would need a massive Kickstarter to do independently. So that's why I'm taking it to the pitching world first, just to see, you know, because if we throw a big Kickstarter, that'll also get people's attention. But I feel like it's, you know, it speaks for itself right now. We've already made our pilot, so it makes sense to see who responds to it. And the good news is that people are responding to it really well. I've been absolutely honored by some of the people I've gotten to pitch to, and some of the people who've been like really invested in it. So hopefully there'll be some good news that I can share soon. I don't know even how soon I could announce that the show has like people behind it, but
announce it now.
Yeah.
Tell everybody. We have the guy from the Proud family.
Yeah, you know, like we're still fielding things, but like I'm super excited. Like even if you know, whatever happens with the show moving forward, whether we partner with a company and take it to a studio, or we try to do it ourselves and kickstart it. Either way, it feels really good to all the people who are like, Hazbin will never be a show. Nobody will ever want it. That's all I can say. I won't say.
You can say more. Go ahead.
People want it. People want it.
Go ahead. What people? Tell us who are these people that you speak of?
I can't say. I don't want to like, you know, but yeah.
You know, I was about to tell you that we had the guy from the Proud family, the creator of the Proud family. He took the computer to another room and didn't realize that he had character designs on the wall showing like a new season of the Proud family coming up, and he's like, well, shit, fuck it. Well, there you go. The new season of Proud Family's coming out.
Yeah.
So, hey, I wanted to ask you this, and I want to also explain something, elaborate on something here. So, you've talked a lot about this project, Hazbin Hotel, and everybody I am speaking to, Vivienne Medrano, Vivzy Pop, as she's known as, and she is the creator of very popular animated series on YouTube, one of them being Hell of a Boss. And before that, within that same world that she's created with Hell of a Boss, which is sort of a corporate structure in hell, I guess you can call this sort of the prequel to this, there was Hazbin Hotel, where, you know, they want to increase productivity in hell and get more souls through, I believe, if I got this right, rehabilitation.
So, I've been thinking, isn't there a more humane way to hinder overpopulation here in hell? Perhaps we can create an alternative way to change souls through redemption? Well, I think yes. So that's what this project aims to achieve. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm opening the first of its kind, a hotel that rehabilitates sinners.
Ah, I see. She's trying to make some room. Hell is overpopulated.
Yeah, the plot of Hazbin is about the Princess of Hell. She every year in my Hell's universe, angels come down and they kill off as much of the population as they can. So she is kind of trying to implement this as like an alternative, like humane wet method to protect her people. And it's not the most realistic. And I think everybody agrees, including the people there. So she's kind of like this big dreamer. She's kind of like she's like this princess character. And I like the contrast of a princess character being like the Princess of Hell. It's almost like a Disney-esque princess in hell. That was kind of the initial like spark of her character. And then I kind of ran with it. It's definitely a show that will eventually get into heavier topics of what exactly redemption is, what is too irredeemable, what is, the whole show is about the gray area of the world and of, these two pillars of good and evil, and the fact that there's a lot more gray in there, in our world and with humanity, than, initially proposed. So the pilot is all about her kind of initially bringing up this idea, and the characters, like the core cast, kind of being introduced in their various colorful ways. And I'm really proud of what we made. It was like 30 minutes long. A complete, like, I had never made something this big. Never. And I think it shows, but it also is why it's so wild, I think, is because, like, it was just, we were adding things. We were, like, editing things as we were going. The shots weren't numbered, which was a nightmare. I have no idea how it even got made. We were just, it was the Wild West in terms of making this cartoon. Like, but I'm so proud of what we ended up doing. The animation is stellar. Like, there's some shots in it that I'm like, this is feature worthy. Like, some of the shots just look gorgeous to me.
No, it's incredible
and I owe
job.
that to my amazing team. Like, the animators are, to me, they inspire me. The best animation in it was not done by me.
Well, but you put together a great team, and it's always, a lot of these projects depend on, of course, the talent, but also the leadership and the concept behind it, which you certainly were there for that. I noticed through your projects, because I went back and looked at some of the stuff that you had done earlier, stuff that you had done while you were at the School of Visual Arts in New York, and one of these is I know you did a short Timber.
Yeah. That was thesis.
Yeah, and you also won a Dusty Award for Outstanding Achievements in Character Animation, and you won that for this short right here, The Son of 666.
Son, how many times have I told you to get rid of that useless thing? Why don't you play a more sinister instrument, like the violin? It would be much more suiting.
The fiddle is your thing, Dad.
Son, I mean it.
I noticed a theme going through your projects. You seem to love anthropomorphic animals and talking animals, and you seem to really be in love with hell. So
there's something about demonology that's just always been fun to me. And I'm not even, it doesn't go past that. It doesn't go like I'm just fascinated with the whole aesthetic, the kind of dark, the edgy. I really love monsters and creatures and stuff. They're really fun to draw. So demons are kind of like this perfect blend, because you can kind of give them this bigger, grander feeling while also being these really, like, the sky's the limit in terms of design, because they don't exist. A really funny like thing that'll pop up. But me and the crew have joked about it too, because like obviously we're working on Hell of a Boss, and so we're still in that hellscape world, and we'll get people like who are all like trying to correct the characters because they don't look demon-y enough. Like they'll be like, oh, Charlie doesn't look demon-y enough, and I'm, first of all, he's based on Lucifer, who is a fallen angel who was supposed to be like the hottest angel ever. So I'm like, well, first of all, that's why. And then second, like, there's no such thing as a demon. So like when people are like, it doesn't look demon enough, I'm like, have you seen one? What do you reference? You know, like, yeah, it's like, it's kind of like, because obviously there's a decoded demon, you know, like horns and red and all that, which like, you know, I love playing into because it's fun. It's a fun aesthetic, but it doesn't exist. You know, that was created by some author somewhere, some illustrator somewhere down the line in the Renaissance, and then it just kind of was run with. So it's just funny to get those kinds of comments because I'm like, it can really, a demon can be anything. Yeah. I think one of my favorites was this guy made a video on like how inaccurate hell was. And he was like, that's not how hell is. Hell isn't like this. And I was just sitting back like, have you been there? How do you know? Did you research it?
Yeah.
It's just funny.
Yeah, no, like
I do a lot of research for hell. Like I do a lot of playing with different texts of hell and stuff, different interpretations, and I like kind of drawing from all of them. So like this short, the Son of 666 short, is very classic. You know, the devil looks very, he's got the big red horns and the big body, and he's kind of jackal themed, which like, and then the child character's name was Damien, which is like a play from the not the Ring, the Omen, where, you know, the son of the devil is born of a jackal named Damien. So like, you know, that was that one. And then with Hazbin, I'm pulling more from like the Lucifer story. So it's like Lucifer was a fallen angel, so he's supposed to be really pretty. So she's kind of like a porcelain doll, because she's the daughter of him. And Hell of Us kind of a tied universe, so that one kind of shares that continuity. But I'm interested in theology. I'm interested in like mythos and Greek myth and Egypt myth and like all this stuff. And hell, like doing my own take on hell is kind of like my way of adapting more of like a grand theme than rather like specific myths, or like kind of looking at religious texts and kind of making commentary on them, but not really basing it too much in any kind of specific religious world. But it's definitely something I've always wanted to explore. So having a whole project around it just kind of felt right. And then with like Timber, it's like completely different. Like I'm still developing Timber as a separate project. And that one's more kid friendly, and it's about like an owl, like woods world. So like the whole story is like environmental, and it's about jungles and prairies and kind of westerny, much more kid friendly. The characters are still monster. I love.
Hello? Uh-oh.
So a lot of my designs end up being like these monsters and creatures and animals. It's mostly just because it's fun to draw, and you can put stories. I've noticed and it goes back, and so many of my favorite shows and movies are about animals that represent something that isn't animals. Like one of my favorite movies of all time is Cats Don't Dance, which is a movie about prejudice told through anthropomorphic animals and humans. And then there's also things like, and same with Roger Rabbit is another one, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is my favorite movie. And, just there's a lot of, even BoJack, even more recent, like BoJack Horseman has a way of, when you make a character anthropomorphic, there's just a way to digest what's happening and what the character's doing a little bit easier than if it's a full-on human, because it becomes a little too real when it's a human character. And then once there's some kind of layer of like, well, it's an animal, or it's a, like movies like Zootopia can also do it. Animals represent something very real, but we can kind of apply it in different contexts because, it's so broad. So that's one of the reasons why animals are in most of my projects, because they're a good storytelling device. There's a lot more of a grand appeal and it takes things out of reality enough so that the stories you can tell can be darker or more real without it feeling too hard to digest, without it becoming, a live action drama that's very like, you either relate to the character or you don't.
Yeah, you're kind of like a satanic furry in a way, Uh, yeah,
yeah, furry is always what I get, which it's funny because I'm not like an active part of that community. So like I love it because a lot of my fans are, and my work applies to it. But it's just so funny because like people will just be like, "Oh, it's that furry cartoon," and I'm like, I mean, I guess it is.
Yeah, no, you. I mean, you okay? Look, okay, I'm just gonna put you out there. You're not only a satanic furry, but you're also a furry in self-denial. You're a furry. You're surrounded. You got fur behind your head right now. Look at that.
That's true. Well, that's a Furby.
It's got fur in the title, right?
All right, fair. I'm a furry that only is aesthetic is just Furbies. That's it.
There's fur in there. You're furry in some sort of way or another. A lot of people probably ask you, given your infatuation with demonology or however you pronounce it, and also a lot of your things just having this aesthetic to it, as you say that this you like the drawing the edgy characters that are going along with the images of demons and hell and whatnot. Are you influenced by? Because I'll tell you what I was thinking when I saw your stuff. I thought immediately, this is a very wonderful mashup of classic Disney in the character animation sense and Tim Burton, which I know you get all the time.
Yes. I mean, it's definitely in there. Tim Burton is one of those creators who huge influence on me, but only with a couple of his movies. I didn't grow up with a lot of them. I saw a lot of them later in life. But the big one of my favorite movies of all time is Nightmare Before Christmas. So that one was a huge influence, and you can tell when you watch Hazbin, the characters are these lanky, or they're these extreme shapes. Another huge influence of mine, it's my favorite kids cartoon, is Invader Zim. You can definitely see that in there. There's like these sharp eyes and really, really loud expressions. Disney was a huge influence on like the appeal of their character design, the appeal of their shapes. Warner Brothers, like Looney Tunes, huge influence on me in terms of timing and pacing. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is one of my favorite movies. In terms of the content, like the edgier content mixed with this contrast of really pretty looking characters, Disney looking characters doing more adult things. So you can, if you line up all my influences and kind of put them in a blender, you'll get what I make.
Yeah, no, definitely. And when you mention the other things, I definitely see that in there. When you talk about the timing, a lot of people don't understand, and only actors who are mostly comedic actors a lot of times and animators understand the importance of timing. And Looney Tunes had that down, man, as far as comedy goes with their timing. So I see that with your stuff. I'm glad you mentioned that. You did a video, and somebody asked about this in the chat, and they said, show a little bit of it. The Kesha video.
Oh, yeah.
Die Young that you did that got, I don't
the
know.
OG. That one was my claim to fame because I made this one right after leaving school.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen viewership like that. I mean, first of all, I think the only things I posted before that were like my 2 films. So I made this for fun. And this one was literally just, my thesis film had no lyrics. I wanted to do, I'm a huge musical theater fanatic, like huge. I have, all of my inspirations come from theater. So my thesis was my challenge was I want to do a musical. But at that point, I didn't know any songwriters. I didn't have any connections with, that kind of world. We only had a limited time. So what I decided to do instead was I decided to do the opposite, where I told a story and had it scored. So it was entirely dialogue-less, which was a challenge for me because I'd never, the only other film prior to that was The Son of 666, which was scripted. Fun fact about that one, the actor who played the devil in that one, Edward Bosco, he ended up being Alistair in Hazbin Hotel. Totally full circle. That was not intentional. I just happened to cast him back then, and then years later, we crossed paths again, and he ended up being the perfect Alistair. So fun, cute little fact about those two shorts.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of your Kesha video that you did, because I want to ask you a question about that. So everybody's heard the Kesha song "Die Young," and you racked up 54 million views. I mean, it might be higher now, but I know it's at one time 54 million views for this this video. Though you animated this from the Kesha song "Die Young." Kesha ever respond to this?
No. I don't think she's even seen it. That's why I'm like, no, because like that was years ago. But I've met her. I mean, it was at like a meet and greet kind of thing. And there's a whole story behind that I won't get into. But the positive of it was she's insanely nice. She's still my favorite artist, or at least one of them. My other favorite artist is someone who I have met a number of times, who does know who I am. I don't think Kesha knows who I am still, but my dream is someday to work with her on like a professional level on a real project. That's like one of my dreams, which, might never happen because that's all up to her. But we are repped by the same company now. So I'm like, we'll see.
Nice. Well, I mean,
or the same agency.
If you're repped by the same company, where's that echo coming from? I love hearing myself.
They are reaching out to her with my work finally. So maybe even if she's just like my dream even is her just being like, oh, I need a music video. Their stuff's good.
Yeah. No, that's great.
You want to make that? And I'd be like, yeah. So like that. Someday I'd love to work with her because her music, like I mentioned, music is a huge influence on me. So it influences the characters, it influences the story. So making that music video was just kind of my attitude of like, I had this visual in my head that I just couldn't get out. And I just decided I'm just going to try and get it out. And, people liked it. And I loved doing that. I had a few other little animated songs I did. And my dream now is to do those, but like do original song. Like, the next time I animate a Kesha song, I want it to be one that either is official or she wrote for one of my projects or something. You know what I mean? Like that's, my goals are a little bit higher now because we're making our own original stuff. So I don't think we'll ever go back to making something that wasn't originally based because it's so much more money now. And I really want it to be original stuff that we can like include in pitches and stuff. But I still love that little character. I really like the werewolf girl.
Yeah.
Animated. So she's around. I'm working on her. She's going through some retooling. I'm trying to figure out what a story could be. Because she's around, but I haven't touched her in a hot minute.
Trey Bear says he'd love to touch her in a hot minute. He wants to get Trey Bear in the chat. He's coming with all these comments. We got a lot of people. He's coming with these comments that get my attention. He says he would love to get a drawing of that for science research. So
there's already stuff on there. Just search her name and search furry, and you'll find it. I've seen things I wish I didn't.
Speaking of famous people, you said you haven't met Kesha. Well, you met Kesha, but
I met her, but it was like kind of like a meet and greet.
Yeah. Well, you also got to meet in a more honorary way, and a more I would be sure like just a way that just was very, very humbling for you and perhaps very special for you. You got to meet Ralph Bakshi. Ralph Bakshi was handed you an award an award. Yeah, was it the Dusty Award that he handed to you?
Yeah, he was the one who presented me with the Dusty Award at SVA, which was crazy. And I'm a bad person because I didn't know who he was.
Wait, what? No, hey, all right, no, hold on. You
I'm
do
a
all.
bad,
I got it. I'm gonna let you talk,
animator.
but I got to interrupt you right now. You.
I knew
talk-
him after. People
you-
were like, that was Ralph Bakshi. And I was like,
Oh my God! Now this is where I got to jump on you right here. You know,
yeah,
I've been sitting back. This has been
you
fascinating,
can.
but
You were. I feel bad about it.
girl, the only reason why I'm not mad because you are such a great animator. But God damn it, you should have known. You were in the midst of a legend. You just like, thank you, old man. Hey, everybody, Mom, thanks.
Well, I knew it was an amazing. Anyone presenting the Dusty is an incredible animator and a talent. So it was an honor even just to win it. I didn't expect to win it. I was just like, whoa, completely unreal.
Did you get a chance to talk to him at all, or?
No, it was very just that was it. That was the moment. I think he might have been at the party afterward, but I don't even know. I don't think he was there for very long. I think he kind of pieced out.
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
It's a lot of young people. It's a lot of people, especially someone like him. It's a lot of people coming up and being like, "Oh my God!" But he was very nice from the moment I met him. So
I can tell you right now, he was not at that party. It's funny because I've talked to a couple of people on that you've been in contact with, like Brandon Rodgers. I used to, I don't know how it's going to be now, but we have the same YouTube rep, and I see him every year at Play This Live, and maybe.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, no, very nice guy. We've interviewed him before. He, very nice guy. Hang out with him a little bit. I can't say we hang out all the time, but run into him or hang out with him sometimes at Playlist. Very nice guy. Ralph Bakshi. I've talked to a few times. I guarantee you he was not at that goddamn party.
Yeah, that's what I figure. I imagine that he was like there to present these awards and be there for recognition, and then he wasn't gonna bother with us after that.
Yeah,
not that he needs to, because it would be a bunch of young, freshly graduated students. Hey, how do you get a job?
Yeah. No, I can tell you that.
He doesn't need that.
You talk about, now it sounds like you might be, I'm not going to say anything. Sounds like you might be working with some studios later. I can see some big things happening for you, and I'm pretty sure those are very close on the horizon. But we just talked about how you worked independently, and you worked way more independently than I ever imagined. If you're just tuning in, everybody, again, we are talking to Vivienne Medrano, Vivzy Pop, as her fans know her. And Vivienne, it's been a very interesting discussion on how she works. We talked about how she's creating a series right now, and a lot of the money, most of the money that she gets from merch sales and from your Patreon goes back into the production so you can get this done. So very, very independent is how you're working. I mean, you used to hear about independent filmmakers working this way all the time. But also you've worked with some big studios, at least one that I know of. You've worked with DreamWorks. This is a short here, Loudmouth Librarians. Now, I don't know what you did on this, but I know that you're credited as working on this.
Hi, welcome to the library.
Ow, my ears!
Is there anything I could do for you? If you haven't noticed, I was born with an extremely large head and face, and my huge throat and mouth makes my voice incredibly loud.
I gotta go.
Okay, have a wonderful day. Hello, sir. Can I help you?
Yes, you can start by lowering your voice.
Hey, Sarah, is there a problem here?
No, not at all.
Wait, there's two of you?
Yeah, I was a character animator. That's a friend of mine. That was his series. It was just a little YouTube series. It was DreamWorks that like made it, but it was like another company that really made it. It was just they were owned by DreamWorks, so it kind of had the label. So it is a very small project. But really, that was a fun one because my friend Nico, who created it, he reached out to me directly. Like, he was like a fan of my work, and he was like, I need animators for this project. And it was the first time I'd ever worked on something like credited, that I could see my name in a credit and be like, oh my gosh, I worked on this thing. So that was really special to me. And I look back on it and I'm like, man, the animation I did was, like every artist has this feeling of just looking back at your old work, you just see all the flaws of it and you're just like, oh. So that's kind of how I am with a lot of the things I worked on, especially when it's somebody else's project. I'm like, oh no, why did I turn that in? But I was very proud of being part of that. And it's a cute little cartoon, Too Loud on YouTube. That my role was just as an animator. I was an animator and like briefly a cleanup artist. And, but that was the first time I was working like on somebody else's thing. It's like officially, cause most of my freelance jobs were after the Die Young music video. People wanted me to do music videos. And obviously I wanted to do music videos, but they were never artists that I knew about. They were just these indie artists. And one of them I didn't even get paid for. So after a while I was like, I should take on jobs that are like on a team where I'm going to get paid and not just me doing all the work for like no money.
Yeah, no, I hear you. No, it's what all artists go through. You hit that one project that's a big turning point in your life. You don't get paid on it, or you get way too much work and too little pay on it. So we've all been through it before. You also have your comics, or your graphic novels, or your comic series. Let me see. There it is. Zoophobia.
Zoophobia, my OG project.
Yeah, Zoophobia right there. Are you still working on this? Are you just thrown into animation right now?
So yeah, that's a big question a lot of my fans had, and I've been trying to be transparent about that as well. I did run out of steam for the comic. To be fair, I jumped into it. It was the way I always refer to it is that Zoophobia was my childhood project. It was a project that had everything child me loved all crammed into one story. It had the hell stuff. It had the demon, or it had the magic stuff. It had animals. It had sci-fi. It had everything. It was a mess. And that was kind of the magic of it. It was like this child story being told by an adult. I was in college by the time I started it. So the characters are very like childlike, but then the story was super dark and it was just all over the place. And it had mythos and fairy tales and all this shit in one. So it was kind of a mess from the word go. And I still love it. It still has a lot of characters, but since then, so much of the stuff I developed for it, I've yanked out and turned into other projects. Like even the Hazbin characters originated in this comic. It was just everything. It was just the hub. I like to think of it as the incubation chamber for all of my projects that I'm doing now, that I like took out and I've been able to properly focus on as their own thing, and they make sense separately. And what's nice is that the more I yank out of Zoophobia, the less is in it, and the easier it is to go back to it and go, okay, there's a lot less that I need to tell in here. There's less characters, there's less world. So I can tell a better story, I feel, when I go back to it. Right now, it's on the shelf. I don't want to go back to it. When I do, it'll be a complete reboot. Some of it'll stay the same. Some of the core characters that we saw in the comic so far stay in the comic. So they'll be the same and their personalities will stay the same, but like the structure of the story, I've gotten better at storytelling, so I can more properly approach it. But a lot of people want it because I just stopped it. It was like a train going full speed. And then I was at school, so I was obviously doing animation. I was doing my thesis, and I just completely lost all passion for it. but I love the characters still. So the good news is that we are actually making a short, a cartoon involving these characters. So some of the characters that people liked and some of my oldest, like some of my childhood characters, are going to be in animation soon.
Nice.
We're actually kind of almost done. Like there's some things. My goal for that short is to release it in the summer. So one of the summer months, so either June, July, or August, probably July or August. But, you know, people will see the characters come back. But it's not like a return to the comic. It's just...
No, that's cool. That's cool to hear. I mean, it's great to see that you have panels. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm reading the chat as I'm talking to you. Great to see you have fans everywhere. I'm looking at the chat and somebody said, damn, those panels. You know, like they really like them. You know, they like a lot of them admire your work in here. People are like, hey, you got a new fan right now. Love your stuff. Everybody's looking at this and saying it's very interesting. I can't wait to see more.
Thank you.
Let me switch things up, and this will be my last thing that I ask you. Let me switch things up from art to more of a personal discussion here. And you remind me so much of another artist that I spoke to not too long ago. Sam Sawyer.
That sounds so familiar.
Sam, you two should hang because you two are you got so much in common. You're almost like satanic Twinkies in a way or something. But
is that the creator of Salem?
Salem, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'm terrible with names, but I've met her. She's awesome. I love Sam. Last names. I always meet people at, as a first name basis or a username. So sometimes like last names, I'm like, wait a minute. That's yes. Yeah. She's great.
Yeah.
We had we got coffee one day, and we talked about how our productions kind of differ, and because I had questions for her about how hers was doing, because what's cool about hers is that she's also doing similar to how I'm doing Hell of a Boss. Hers like has a budget. She did a Kickstart for it. It's SAG, so she has like Rob Paulson and my friend Adam MacArthur, we mutually know at least. But Adam's great. And with Hell of a Boss is also a SAG production. So we have like Richard Horvitz and Brandon Rodgers and Brock Baker, Erica Lindbeck are all SAG actors. So that was kind of a different world for me to learn because Hazbin wasn't. So that's its own process, is making a project like Union. So we were talking about like how because the Union has its own rules that make indie stuff a little bit trickier. So we were kind of sharing our tricks of trade one day at having a coffee. She's great. I love Sam.
Well, besides you two making projects where you have similar approaches to how independent you're working with these projects, you both have sort of similar subject matter. You got a dark sense of humor. She's working with creatures, you're working with creatures in a cute kind of way also. She's you two almost have sort of a similar a style, and both of you are very adorable, by the way, too.
Hi guys, my name is Sam, the creator of the Salem series. For any of you guys that don't know me, I've been in the comic book industry and doing Comic-Cons for quite a while. I work for comics such like Coffin Comics, Lady Death, Big Dog Inc., Zenescope, Aspen, quite a few of them. We have some super awesome, exciting news to tell you guys. Basically, you guys have been so amazing and so inspiring to us that we wanted to show you the official trailer for the series. So you're going to see that in the video coming up. And then some other super exciting news we want to share with you is that, again,
I'll even show some of the stuff that she's working on. Let's see here. So
I was going to say, she's way more adorable than me.
Nah, you two both.
She's like such a ray of sunshine. Like meeting her, she's exactly like that as well. It was great to meet her. I hope we get to, that was like right before, COVID hit. So I'm hoping like we were right about to like get into the recording. I was so excited. Like I was so excited to do Hell of a Recording. Like I think I was literally meeting with her to ask her about her experience with the recording studio that she recorded for Salem. Because I was trying to weigh the options because we were literally about to go in the studio to do the first few episodes. And like Richard Horvitz, like I love Richard. I've taken his class now, his voice acting class. He's phenomenal. He's the voice of Zim and Billy and Daggett, bunch of characters that were like huge in my childhood. So getting to work with him is an honor. And you know, he was expressing interest in potentially directing, which I really, really want him to help out with. So I was super eager and excited. And then, you know, the world ended.
And then the apocalypse came. But you can see the.
I'm very excited, though. Hopefully soon we'll be able to all get that started.
You can see a very similar style in it's not exactly the same, but there's a lot of similarities in what you do.
Adopted?
Salem, honey, I am trying to work. Can we please talk about this later?
Am I even a boogeyman? What am I then? A Bigfoot? A Nightwalker? A Chupacabra?
But another thing that you two have in common is that, and if I'm correct about her, I believe she came out as bisexual, if not fully lesbian. You've come out as bisexual.
Yeah.
You know, was that so? To do that, was there a lot of support for that, or what experiences did you have, especially from the areas of family?
Oh, my family is the best, so they don't care. My family doesn't give a shit. I think my family will just be excited when I actually properly date somebody. That's the thing, is that like you can recognize your sexuality. Finding somebody is a whole different ballgame. For me, I've endured some things that make it a little bit trickier as well. So like there's just not a part of me that I really give a shit about. That's why, like, even when I announced it, I think even as a meme. I think I used the like in sync gif.
Yeah, you did.
Like, I was just like, oh yeah, I can make it kind of like I can make this light because like it's not a big deal to me.
Yeah.
It is because I'm proud of it, but like I'm also like this doesn't matter to 99% of the world. It only matters to whoever I, you know, eventually like. But I was lucky that that was my experience. Like I didn't need to worry because I knew my family would accept me. I knew that my friends would accept me. So it wasn't really a fear. And I knew my audience, for the most part, I knew my audience would accept me. It hasn't been a big reason that people have, you know, attacked me for anything, you know, as of yet. I mean, I'm sure it's a reason to dislike me for some shitty people, but you know, it hasn't been a big deal, which I'm incredibly lucky for because it's not the case with a lot of people in their families. I got incredibly lucky. I have a phenomenal family. I don't know about my extended family, like outside of my mom, my dad, my grandparents, on my mom's side and my sisters. Don't know past them. But at least with them, like I have nothing to worry about. And they're all the only ones that matter. So
nice.
To me.
No, and I found the gift that you tweeted out there. I have to say, my assistant is very great at finding this stuff, and he found this right there. I didn't have it up because I didn't know you would actually bring it up, but apparently he goes deep, man. And I
remember it because, you know, even though it was this levity moment, it was still the first moment that I let it be real to myself as well. You know, like there's always that moment where you're like, okay, once I say this is like real. And I get to identify, like I get to go, this is who I am. And I think that was the moment where I was like, so I remember it. And that's why I wanted to turn it into something that I could also look back on with kind of like a smile.
Yeah.
And I'm, you know, I'm NSYNC trash, so I had to do that. It was just too perfect. I like to kind of shield my like real opinion or my real self in a joke because it's kind of a way of easing it. So even when I get angry and I post something, like I try really hard. I feel like it's the battle of every creator and every human because like inherently we all have opinions on things. We all have opinions on politics or the world or life. And when you're a creator, you're in a certain spotlight that like everything you say, you're now saying to an audience and you're now saying to, you know, to people. So it's a lot harder. So I always try to make jokes. But text also is really hard to read. So sometimes people think I'm being really angry at something, and they'll be like, God, why are you getting so upset? And I'm like, I mean, I am upset, but I'm also trying to make a joke. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Let me see. Let me go to your YouTube channel because people are asking about. I should have had this stuff ready, so forgive me. But people are asking, what's her YouTube channel? I gotta go follow her. Well, imagine if you type in. I'm just gonna put in Vivienne. Let me see here, Vivienne Medrano, and I'm gonna type in YouTube. I'm sure it'll pop up right there. Let me see here, but I'm gonna put it up so you guys can see it. You have a visual right here. And let's see. And there you go, people.
There it is. Yep. The first one.
So what you can type in, and if anybody's listening to this, this is what you can type in. Type in Vivzie Pop. And to spell that, that's a page playing right. You can see all her stuff right here. She's got a lot of things. It is VIVZIEPOP, and it's all one word, Vivzie Pop. You can go there and see all of her stuff. I actually had been here. As you can see, I've already clicked on this, and I watched a lot of your stuff here. She's a wonderful, wonderful animator, an amazingly talented person. So, you know, I always say I like to hit the ground level with people like this. I mean, she's already very, very extremely popular. I don't have to say that extremely famous, but, you know, when she hits that $1 billion mark, man, I can say, you know what? I had her on there when she was obtainable, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm honestly honored to be on here, and I've seen your show before. It's great. I remember when I was younger at my old house, even seeing some of your old reviews on spill.com. I remember that.
Yeah, you remember those? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I remember because I used to love watching movie reviews and stuff. Like I still do sometimes. And of all the channels I'll watch, like I watched Double Toasted now a few times. So I love hearing like a perspective that talks about animated movies and actually like gives them thought and stuff. Like it's rare. I think I speak for a lot of animators that we get really fucking exhausted of people who talk about animation who've never done it or don't know about it. And they're just like, oh, this is lazy. This is whatever. And I'm like, but I can tell since you know about animation and you know about art that you understand more of like the work that goes into it. And we like hearing that, or at least I do. I love hearing from other animators and other artists who review things because there's a little bit more of like an informed opinion there. So, I mean, not that you need it for movies, you know, that are story based, but you know, people will be like, oh, the animation is lazy in this show, or the animation's lazy in this movie. And I'm like,
yeah, it's rare you hear people come in and throw down the terms like we were talking about timing today. You know, I talk about timing with animation all the time, and a lot of people don't understand what the hell I'm talking about. So, you know, that's a real honor to hear you even say that. That's very cool. I gotta say, for somebody's mouth who's hurting, you talked a mouthful today.
Oh, I will no matter what. Like my mouth will be hurting the whole time. Like even the other day, even yesterday, you know, my mouth was starting to hurt. Like it's worse now, but it was starting to. And I was like, and then I jumped into a cold. Like, you know what I mean? Like I have to be talking.
Yeah.
Like I'm very. It's definitely the Latina in me. I just can't stop.
No. I love it. I could talk to you all day. Unfortunately, I got to go do another stream right after this, so I got to go prep for that real quick and get something to eat and all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, girl, you would keep me here for another hour. So, I mean, seriously, I sat back. I would just ask a question. I was like, ooh, I can't wait to hear this answer. And I just sit back and pet my dog and let you go to town. This is
as long as it was entertaining. That's all.
It was entertaining.
I feel bad when I'm just rambling on about nothing.
No, it was entertaining and it was informative, and those are the two things that you expect from a good interview. You're a great person to talk to. So again, congratulations with everything. I can't wait to follow up and see how everything goes. You know, with your projects, man. And I want to read up on these because I really do. And I didn't know this. I really do admire, you know, for lack of a better term here, to quote Tyler Perry, your work ethic, man, and your independent spirit behind working on stuff. It's very inspirational.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. And yeah, thank you for having me. It's always fun to get to talk about things. And I like you see, I love to talk. So I'm happy to talk with anyone who like has a genuine interest in what I'm doing and what we're doing. And so thank you for that, and thank you so much for the kind words. I appreciate it so much.
No, it has been great, and you've been a wonderful guest. So, and a lot of people are saying, I would go to questions, folks, but like I said, I'd be here for another 2 hours because that's the great thing about here. If you ask her a question, you better sit down and have some time. So
I never have to worry about like panels. Like when people are like, okay, what are you going to do for your panel? How you got an hour and whatever. I'm just like, just make it a Q&A. I will fill it up.
Yeah, you will. A lot of people though. They're saying
I don't blame people for being like that with me.
Oh no. I didn't pull up the chat. Sorry guys. I long story short, I had another computer come in and I was prepped on that computer and found out that there was one thing on there that I couldn't use and I had to switch to my old one. So I didn't set up everything like I wanted to. But take my word for it. People are saying that it was a great interview. People love hearing from you. They would love to hear more from you in any kind of way, whether you're talking to me or whether they go and look for your stuff. So you definitely you've got people hooked. So thank you.
Awesome.
All right, everybody, we're out of here. I'm going to say goodbye to Vivienne. Vivienne, thank you so much. And I would say good luck, but you don't need it. You'll be all right. You'll be better than all right. You're going to be fine. And I can't wait to see what's going on.
Anyway.
Good lad. No, whatever luck you need, take it. There it goes. It's only going to be wasted on you. You got talent and you got brains. Can't ask for more than that. And you are adorable. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.